Can you imagine having someone in your life who would always smile to your face, but all the while they were dragging your name behind your back, only to find out that majority of the attacks that you have endured throughout life, they were also the ones behind majority of it? Yes. So welcome to my real life testimony, because this past story of how when you have to realize that you have narcissistic parents who have raised you, and you realize that majority of your stuntedness in life was due to factors and roles that they played in your life, it, it leaves betrayal behind. You realize that they betrayed you. It leaves hurt at the realization, because now you have to say, okay, this is who they are, right? So my narcissistic, you know what, let me go into when I first found out, and then things started to click for me. One day I heard my neighbor on the phone talking to my landlord. The landlord was on the phone telling my neighbor that she wanted the number of my so called sister, because she wanted to speak with her. She had must have heard some desire of the so called sister to either rent the house or buy it or something, or she had not spoken to her in a long while, so she wanted to speak to her. So she was asking the neighbor if she had her number. Anyways, the landlord then proceeded to say out of her mouth, and the sister up there, her mother said she has stressed her out. Her mother said she just has stressed her out so bad with everything, and so, and she made mention of something about paying rent and everything. This whole situation was just stressing her out, right? That was during the time when my sister was falsely accusing me of theft and removing padlocks off of the door, right, for the house that I live in, as if to say I am an intruder and not welcome to my own house. So that's what I heard, right? And it got to the point where, after I heard that, you know, that was before the so-called sister moved out of the house, right? And moved away. So when I heard that, I didn't say anything. I just, you know what? I'm not going to say anything to my mother. I'm not even going to bring up that I heard the neighbor talking to the landlord, and the landlord was telling her stuff that my mother was on the phone discussing with people. So it it came to a point where I realized that this landlord, she did not take the time to call me and say, okay, what is your version of the story? She did not take time to ask me, okay, how are things? What's going on? She called neighbors, she called and asked for a number for the so called sister. She called everybody and contacted everybody asking about how the story go, how who feel, how such and such and such, everybody except for me, the discussion of their topic, right? Everybody except for me. And that's when I realized that there are legit people out there who they will ask anybody and everybody about you when they hear something about you, and they will never take their investigation to say, okay, you know what, let me go ask the person whom is um name is being called in all of this, because at the end of the day, I am the person that is being spoken about, and no one called my phone and said, what is your side of the story? So it went to a point where my, this narcissistic ex of mine, why is this shirt like this? Anyways, this narcissistic ex of mine, when he came over to the house to give me the court document, right? To drag me to court with lies and his nether attempt of humiliation ritual. I heard him say out of his mouth while he was on the phone with his friend, and she can't even pay her rent, you know. She can't even pay her rent, and she there so da, 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 da. So I realized at that point in time that the only reason he could have this boldness, this confidence to say out of his mouth, I can't pay my rent, is unless someone is somewhere else feeding him information about me, right? And this would have had to be through gossip and smear campaign. And it would have had to be somebody who was close to me. It could not have been a stranger, because this narcissistic ex of mine does not know my business. So why would he get the confidence to say something like this out of his mouth? Anyways, when he said this, I immediately realized, oh, ding, 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 ding. My mind went back to when I heard the conversation on the phone with the landlord and the neighbor, right? And now I realized why the neighbor was always pitching, yeah, all right, yeah, all right. Like this fake concern, like they were digging for something, you know? Because I was always the type to say, yes, I'm good, I'm good. Which really I am good, because unless you're gonna come straight forward and say, okay, I heard something, is everything okay? Then I'm just going to say I am good. What else should I say? So it seems that this mother of mine has always been in the background, feeding people negative reviews about me, but at the end of the day, she would be on the phone, she would be in my life. Are you okay? Are you okay? Let me help you. Come here and play the savior role, the hero role in my life. While at the same time, she was always the one instigating people to attack me. She was always the one when people abused me and took advantage of me. It was because she said something or did something behind the scenes, and then played the victim, and then played the hero. Oh, I am here to fix this. I am here to solve the solution. I am here to welcome you back when you come crying because you went out there to be your own self. You went out there to be independent, and then somebody hurts you. And then you find out that for some reason she was behind it in some way, shape, or form, right? This betrayal. So, for one, why it is a betrayal? Yes, she was paying the rent, and she said out of her mouth, right? Because I was saying to her one time, I am going to move out of the house so that you don't have to pay rent because I have the key to go somewhere else where I don't have to be paying rent. Right? She said to me she don't trust that situation that I am going to go in, right? So I should think about the child. And all right, if only you could find a two-bedroom house and move into, and I will pay the rent for you. Just or stay there and I will pay the rent, right? She said this, right? So instead of me saying, all right, I'll move out of this house and let the so-called narcissist sister stay here, she said, she suggested, it was her suggestion, it was her solution, telling me to either go find a two-bedroom house and she would pay the rent, or stay where I am, and she will continue to pay the rent. No one forced her to do this. I did not look at her and say, please pay the rent, and I'm moving somewhere and I need you to pay the rent for me. That discussion was never had. She suggested this. She was not forced. She was not coerced. She suggested this. And now I realize why. She was setting me up for failure. Because if I had gone where I was intending to go, I would not be paying any rent. She would not be paying any rent. And then she would have not had the reason to be on the phone telling people that she is stressed out in all this situation. You feel me? So I went back down memory lane in my childhood. And then I remember how when my mother had left us, right? Two teenagers, one in the late teens and one in her early teens. And she went to abroad because she said Jamaica was too hard and she wanted a better life, right? Because all of our fathers, except for my younger brother's father, he was in his life, but all our fathers was basically MIA. Or if they were there, it's as if they weren't even there. So my grandmother came over one day because me and her, we had a good relationship, right? We spoke, we kept contact. She came over to the house one day and she issued the desire to want to take me to Cayman with her because she was leaving the country again and traveling. So she said, I want to take you to Cayman with me. Do you want to come? I said, yes, of course. I'm not going to turn down that, grandma. I was so excited. And she said, okay, I will talk to your mother about it. I'll discuss this and, good. And I'll start making preparations, right? And then we'll see how it goes. I was shocked when I got the news a week or so after that I think I called grandma and I said, Grandma, what's up for the plans for the trip, and how is it going? I don't remember if she called me or I called her, but I know we got on the phone and then she started to say she not gonna bother carry me to Cayman with her because she don't like the vibes that she's getting from people, as if to say that she is meddling in their lives, right? Like she is supposed to stay away from their children. So she is not going to bother get involved in that because she don't know what the vibe is about. All this vibe. And I found it very weird because I was like, what? Why grandma sound like she's speaking in parables? So what you mean? Is like um She don't like the vibe that, the mother is giving her, and somebody said some things that she will not repeat, which made her feel offended, so she's going to back off. And grandma never carried me to Cayman with her because of that, right? A matter of fact, after that whole ordeal, me and grandma's relationship started to like fade, fade straight down until the point that she died unexpectedly, right? So, um, and it is not like I did anything. I didn't do anything. After that whole ordeal and grandma said she feels some type of way, she just started really doing what she said. She just going to stay far. Not because of anything bad I did, not because I said something bad and said, leave me alone. Not because I wasn't putting myself out there. Because of stuff people were doing behind the scenes, because stuff people were speaking behind the scenes, right? To turn people against me. And I know for a fact that they know the words that they were speaking to others. People would hear back and remove themselves. So it she grandma said eventually, right, long after, because something else came up and I was complaining about something. Something happened and I was mentioning it to her. And grandma said, you see, this is why I stay far, because people would say things out of their mouth and it will cause them to hear back. People will say things to other people and you're going to hear back, and it's going to determine whether you're going to speak to the person or you're going to move differently or not. People going to say things to other people and then you're going to hear back, right? So I was talking to my mother on call one time, and then she mentioned something about grandma had informed her to carry me to Cayman. So she said out of her mouth, she spoke something to her sister. My mother spoke something to her sister, who would be my aunt. And it looked like she said something to my aunt that was later heard back by my grandmother. And my grandmother did not like what was said. And because of that, because of what was said by the person who gave back my grandmother the news, she cut off, she relationship go down. Every plans that she said, okay, come, I include you, she just starts stay far. Yeah. And then there was other incidences that made me realize, okay, this is the icing on the cake to make me realize that sometimes your mother can be the very weapon formed against you, because most of the times you didn't reach somewhere in life because they were there behind the scenes sabotaging every opportunity. Every person who came and say, okay, I'm going to give you this, they were behind the scenes sabotaging relationships. They were the reason why a lot of relationships never worked out for you, because they were behind the scenes using their mouth and sabotaging your life behind the scenes, while smiling to your face, pretending like, oh, you okay, are you okay, and pretending as if they were always the I am here to fix it hero that they have always pretended to be in your life. But they were a lot of the reasons behind your attacks and the sabotage that took place. And the people that left your life, they were the reason behind it. And now that these things are exposing, and I'm looking back down memory lane, right? Because there's other things that she did too and knew about that she was behind. But when I was asking about it, she denied and blatantly lied, saying, "Oh, I don't remember that. I don't remember saying that." And then I was the one who had to take the fall because she could have confessed that, yes, this is how it go. I said that, but she didn't. And she threw me under the bus by saying, "I don't remember that." Oh, me, no, I don't remember that. Right? For situations and things that she said that you and her discussed, that she could have prevented you from being attacked by somebody because that information was to save your life, and she said out of her mouth, "I don't remember that." More than one time this happened. Anyways, this is just how the enemy uses demons to use people in your life to attack you. A lot of these people, they know exactly what they are doing, right? They do these things to keep you down so that people could always think that you could never be competent enough to survive on your own. You could never be competent enough to live or be successful because look at your life. And then here is your mother always, oh, the hero. Here is you always running back to mom, when behind the scenes they were doing the sabotage. They were behind the reason why you lost relationships. They were behind a lot of the attacks and the abuse you endured throughout your life. They were behind it. And it's just sad to say that people will stoop to such low efforts to sink you, to stop, to stunt your progress in life, right? And there's other things because throughout life, she did not teach us a lot of things that would have made us successful in marriages, successful at life. Yes, we were taught some stuff, but the really important stuff that we needed to be independent, strong, productive women in life, children, grown-ups, I can't recall getting on any of those teachings because after I left school, that is when I started to actually start learning. I was the one who taught myself a lot of things. I was the one who had to endure a lot of suffering, abuse, and betrayal, and learn from those so that I could be stronger to go forward in life. And to find out that majority of those things I went through, it was because of the maliciousness and the evil intent of so-called loved ones. It hurts.